Good afternoon, everyone. I am just going to provide a quick update on some operational activities that might be occurring this afternoon on the Lower East Adams Lake wildfire. So we have been talking about a cold front incoming, that being a pretty significant weather event that will likely impact the Lower East Adams Lake, as well as all fires within the Kamloops Fire Center. It's anticipated that this cold front, which essentially just means a band of high winds coming down from northern BC, that's a cold air mass that is replacing the warm air mass that currently sits over Kamloops. As that progresses down from northern BC into southern BC, it's bringing with it some fairly strong winds from the northwest. And because of that, in advance of that cold front, there's also, due to other weather variables, stronger winds that are from the southwest currently that will be picking up in intensity before they sort of plateau. And then we have stronger winds tomorrow from the northwest overnight. The trickiness with it coming around 11 o'clock over the Lower East Adams Lake wildfire area is that that means that it's a nocturnal burning. So we are going to see most likely some increase in fire behavior overnight in the area, which limits our ability to respond to that in terms of aerial resources, helicopters, fixed wing aircraft, as well as the safety of our ground crews working at night without overhead supervision, and just in the dark in general is a much more unsafe environment. So in anticipation of that cold front arriving later this evening, we are looking at and preparing to do a large-scale aerial ignition. The guard construction along the power lines that I'm highlighting here, and I'm sure people are familiar with, that guard construction is complete and it comes right from the road all the way east and wraps up and around the corner. Those roads that is on the transmission line has been widened, as well as additional widening into the trees on the northern side of the power line. So our operations team is currently looking at that right now. We have about a window of a couple hours until 5 p.m.-ish when we'll have favorable winds coming from the south. With those winds coming from the south, any ignitions that would happen would be pushed towards the active burning wildfire. And aerial ignitions are used commonly in situations like this, where there needs to be a large amount of fuel removed in a safe and controlled manner before an almost guaranteed wildfire comes down and affects that area in an out of control manner. So we know that with winds that will be coming from the north, there is likely going to be challenges to those guard construction that we have done closer to the southern flank of the fire. And the risk here is that as that fire is affected by winds coming from the north, and these are not light winds, these are 20 to 40 gusting 50, there is a real risk that if that fire does progress south, we're not as concerned necessarily about flames, although that is obviously a concern if that does progress far enough. But embers are the real threat here in terms of, you can see there's a large amount of fuel that is able to burn still ahead of our guard construction. And with the anticipated wind event, there is the probability that is greater than 0 that these flanks here will become active and can start spreading embers further down, from above and beyond this guard, and could cause spot fires down here. So this isn't a guaranteed aerial ignition. Our ops crew is imminently headed out there to take a look at it. We just finished a meeting here at 1300 at the Squirrelax camp. And so if we do have favorable local wind conditions in this area, that aerial ignition could start as soon as possible, given that we have a limited window before 5 p.m. tonight, where we're confident in terms of wind direction. After that, there could be some convective cells developing as the southwesterly winds are interacting with northerly winds, which could create sort of erratic gusting winds, which we don't want to do ignitions during. We want strong solid winds blowing in the favor of an ignition, which would be back towards the fire. So if we do go ahead with ignitions, we will be updating the fire of note page, as well as working in coordination with the Columbia-Shuswap Regional District to let people know that that ignition has occurred. Given proximity to communities here, it will be highly, highly visible. It's about 10 kilometers of ignition if we can get it all done, and if that is a tactic that is deemed most appropriate by our operations team right now. That ignition will occur along these power lines and partially up here. And quite honestly, if that is the option that is able to be done, it probably is the best way for community protection going forward. Like I mentioned, this is a wind event that is fairly severe in terms of wind speed, and with those coming from the north, it will be very, very difficult if there is a southern push of this fire overnight in terms of firefighting efforts, both from a structural perspective and from a wildland firefighting perspective. So again, this is not a guaranteed thing that's happening at a certain time, but if that is a viable option, it is one that is safe and effective, and with the favorable winds, it can reduce the further wildfire threat to these communities, to Lee Creek, to Scotch Creek, and any further progression quite dramatically in terms of improving containment here if there is less fuel for this fire to burn in an out of control manner. So if anyone has questions about this, I've obviously kept it fairly high level for the purpose of just getting out a quick update video, but our contact information is on the incident page. I believe we'll also be messaging this out through a variety of different means. So if there are questions or people would like more information on how planned ignitions work, specifics about this one, more than happy to answer. Please send me an email at bcws.adams.info@gov.bc.ca. There's also a phone number you can call on the incident page, and if I'm able to, if I'm not in meetings, one of the information officers here will answer the phone and can chat with you that way. So please just stay updated on all channels, BC Wildfire Service, as well as the Columbia-Shuswap Regional District. It is likely to be a fairly dynamic situation going into the overnight period into tomorrow. I would urge people to, as I have been, conducting those fire smart activities at home, having an evacuation plan, having grab and go bags ready. An evacuation order is not guaranteed, but given the wind event that is coming, there is a chance of an evacuation order for areas that are on alert, and a chance that there will be further alerts needed in order to keep everyone safe and prepared. And of course, we will work with the CSRD to have a timely evacuation as possible, recognizing this is a one-way in, one-way out road along getting out of Lee Creek and Scotch Creek. So again, not trying to alarm people, but just trying to have a real sense of what might happen over the next 24 hours, as well as with these ignitions will be highly visible. We will inform people if they are started, and that there might be a lot more smoke visible from those north of the power line areas. And also for people just to please stay out of the area. It'll be a lot of active fire and very unsafe to be in that area along any of these Forest Service roads. So I'll leave it at that. And like I said, if there are any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out, and more than happy to chat with you.